What's up, peeps? Nick Battle, aka Ninos Corner. First off, if you like this content that is coming your way, hit that subscribe button. It means a ton. It means a lot. Hit that bell, get all my YouTube notifications. It means a ton. And also, folks, if you're listening to this in the podcast, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher Breaker, like, comment, subscribe, share, helps me grow the channel. On the road to 4,000 subscribers, we're almost there. But folks, today we're going to go over the Horns Corner game recap, Texas versus Iowa State, that just happened this past Saturday, and we're going to go over some of the stats with the NCN metrics. Texas had a close win, a very gritty win, a very challenging win, a very hard fought game against Iowa State. Iowa State is the top defense here in the Big 12, but Texas comes out with the win. Victorious 24-21. But prior to that, folks, let's get into our sponsors. So, folks, our first sponsor is betus.com. Go to betus.com, get a 125% sign up bonus using the code NinosCorner. Again, at betus.com. That's free money, folks, 125% sign up bonus. Next sponsor, folks, is going to be Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com. Get 20% off and free worldwide shipping using the promo code NinosCorner. Again, at manscaped.com, 20% off and free worldwide shipping using the promo code NinosCorner at manscaped.com. Hey, folks, today we're going to talk exactly about just how Texas did against this Iowa State defense. Iowa State has the top defense in the Big 12. Some things that can be, actually cleaned up for the Texas side of the house going into, Stillwater next week to play Oklahoma State. But we got a lot of things to clean up, but it's easier to correct things after a win. You don't want to get told what you've been doing wrong after a loss. Texas got a win here. So, hey, let's be proud of the win. Let's be proud of these guys. They had a hell of a game here. And let's just break down some of the stats, folks. All right, folks, here we go. And we are back. Let's talk about exactly how the game went from an offense and a defensive standpoint. And let's just take a look and see exactly how this team did. So if we're looking at Texas, Texas had 69 total plays to Iowa State's 63 total plays, folks. And take a look at this. Very even game. I think Texas won the time of possession here by about 3 minutes here in this game. But they were a pretty run-heavy team this game. Out of those 69 plays, I got 41 of them were running plays. If you go look at the stat sheet, it's probably going to say 43 from the official stat sheet because we did have 2 kneels, but I didn't count these in the numbers. So Texas ran the ball, roughly around 59% of the time, passed the ball 26 times for around 38% of the time here for passing. It was the exact opposite here for Iowa State. Iowa State tried to run the ball. They had 63 plays to run the ball 26 times. Texas defense did an outstanding job of stopping Iowa State. And they passed the ball 37 times. And I got to give their quarterback, man, this was the Deckers. I mean, he looked pretty good against Texas. Very versatile kid, too. He can run the ball as well. So it looks like Matt Campbell has himself another Brock Purdy kind of guy, but I think he might be just a little bit more talented than Brock Purdy. Folks, if you go down to the SP, so the SP run, folks, you guys know what SP stands for. If you rock with this channel, that is successful plays. And so for the run game and the passing game and the total. So out of the 69 total plays that Texas ran, 35 of them were successful plays, 22 were successful run plays, and 13 of those were successful pass plays. So if we're looking, folks, at the SPR run, Texas was successful almost 54% of the time when they ran the ball. And for the passing game, they were successful exactly 50% of the time. They had a 50.72, so basically a 51% successful play rate for the totality of the game. Now, if you look at Iowa State here for the running game side of the house, we know what Iowa State only having 5 successful run plays for an SPR in the running game of 19.23%, folks. So they were only successful running the ball once every 5 runs. Or actually a little less than once every 5 runs. They were successful passing the ball at around 49% of the time, so right around 50% of the time. The same as Texas. Hutchinson is a great wide receiver. He really proved it today. But Texas forced Iowa to basically have to pass the ball and do great things in the air because they, again, shut the run down like they've been doing all season long. And Texas has been getting pressure with their front 4, with Coburn, with Sweat, with Byron Murphy, Ojimo, Broughton, Alfred Collins, also Ovia Gofu. They have been getting a lot of pressure with just their actual front 4, Barron Sorrell as well. They haven't had to quote unquote, bring in pressure and blitz a lot to stop the run. They've been able to stop that run with their front four, and it's been able to allow them to drop men in coverage and do great things and get interceptions and get actually swarm to the ball once folks catch the ball. Getting to those passing numbers though. I haven't checked to see exactly how well they did or how not so good they did after Ryan Watts went out. But Ryan Watts was having a pretty damn good game prior to him getting that stinger. And so I think I'm going to go back and look at the metrics pre-Watts injury and post-Watts injury to see exactly how successful this team was, because I thought that when Ryan Watts was in, Texas had a pretty good handle on this game when it came to the passing game. Now, folks, if we look at the NCN number, folks. So the NCN is the NinosCorner number. It tracks the effectiveness and the efficiency of an offense and a defense. Texas's offense was very effective offense, around 60 points. The average for NCAA is around 45 points. 54 points also for Iowa State. Their passing game was in true unison. So they had a very good game from the passing side of the house, and that's what propelled their number to be so well. For the defense side of the ball, the average is 45 points. Texas was, below average. They allowed too many big plays in the passing game, even though they did get an interception, a few tackles for losses, I think a couple sacks here as well. But they let Iowa State get very efficient there in the second half. And Iowa State honestly had a chance to win that game. Iowa State's defense, though, they allowed too many big running plays, too many big passing plays. If you go back and look at Quinn Ewers had a explosive play completion 1 out of every 4 passes. So 1 out of every 4 completions he had went for 20 yards or more. So that means he was getting vertical down the field, and he missed a couple of shots. He missed one to Casey Kane. Seems like the ball floated a little bit, but that passes on Quinn. And then Casey Kane just straight up dropped the pass that probably would have been a 65-yard touchdown or so. And then also Casey Kane, I think he got thrown to the ground, didn't get up in time. Quinn was expecting him to get the ball, and he didn't run through the route. That was a wide open pass as well. So they had opportunities that were schemed right to get even more yardage, and they didn't. But Quinn finished the game, I think, with 172 yards passing. One obvious play, just that play that Casey Kane dropped that would have been a touchdown for 65 yards. You're looking at Quinn having another game of 230, 240 yards and 4 touchdowns. Instead, he had 3 touchdowns and 172 yards passing this game. Now, folks, if we go and look at the NCN numbers again, we already talked about the NCN numbers. I won't break it down per quarter, but for the offense side of the ball, the offense had 1 penalty. I think that was a holding call on Hayden Connor, which Hayden's had a couple calls this year, but look, I don't blame him on that. It was a free run straight to the quarterback. He was defending his quarterback. Hayden's just doing his job to keep his guy upright and not in the ground, especially since he already had that sprained shoulder. Hayden's been playing great ball this year, especially in the passing game, man. He's been pass blocking very, very well. Actually got a chance to meet his father at the state fair, and we talked for about an hour or so. Great family, great father, and it seems like Hayden's just a great kid all around. For the NCN defensive side of the ball, like we said, we already talked about this, 43.4 for the total defensive, the total defensive NCN numbers. Texas had 2 penalties, and they had 2 tackles for loss. And on top of those 2 tackles for loss, they had 1 sack. And the big thing, that fumble recovery that basically sealed the game. Anthony Cook coming in there and hitting the quarterback, jarring the ball out, was not a targeting, folks. Shoulder pad to the shoulder. Fumble happens. They get the ball. And Texas is able to get the ball again and run clock off. And also another big interception by none other than who's Jalen Ford. Yeah. So Jalen Ford had a interception in the end zone, and that was I think a game-changing play there, because Iowa State was on the verge, I think, of going up 14-0 there. So Jalen Ford gets that interception. Texas drives down, gets that touchdown, and winning the game eventually. So, folks, you guys know I love to track third down metrics, personnel packages. So if I take a look at the third down metrics here, third and short, Texas had 4 third and shorts. They were successful on those third and shorts 3 out of 4 times. So a 75% successful play rate on third and shorts, right? For a third and longs. Now, this is where we've kind of had problems this year. Texas third and longs, had 8 third and longs. They were successful on 2 of those. So 25% success rate. That's got to get better. That's got to get better. Um, you know, from an offensive standpoint, that has to get better. But from a defensive standpoint, it's something that we got to stop. Third and longs for Iowa State. They had 10 third and longs. They were successful 7 out of those 10 times, a 70% third and long success rate for the opponent. And I think for the season, Texas has not been that good, but we'll take a look at that in a minute. And third and shorts, folks. They had 2 and they were successful 1 time, for Iowa State. But as a total, third downs, Iowa State had 15 third downs. They were successful on 9 of those, so 60% success rate on third downs compared to Texas, 13 third downs, successful on 6 of those for 46% success rate on third downs. Now, folks, if we take a look at the personnel packages, so Texas personnel packages, folks, the formations, Texas used 9 different, packages, folks. They use empty. They used, so empty is just all wide receivers or a combination of wide receivers and tight ends that are flexed out, and no tailbacks, right? And so basically, if there is a tailback, if there is a Bijan Robinson or a Rojo or Brooks, those guys are splitting out as wide receivers. So empty formation, nobody in the backfield with Quinn. 10 personnel, 1 running back, no tight ends. 11 personnel, 1 running back, 1 tight end. 12, 1 running back, 2 tight ends, folks. 20, 2 running backs, no tight ends. 21, 2 running backs, 1 tight end. 22 personnel, was Texas used at 1 time this game. 2 running backs, 2 tight ends. 23, they didn't use it this time. And 30 personnel is 3 running backs in the backfield. Sometimes they use it as a diamond, or sometimes they actually run the wildcat out of that. In jumbo, so this is the jumbo 12 personnel package, is where they have 1 running back, 2 tight ends, but his second tight end is offensive lineman Andre Carrick, and he wears number 92 during those formations. So if we go take a look at the successful play rates, the most used plays in packages today came out of 11 personnel. They had 24 plays in 11, 24 in 12, and out of those 12 out of those 12 personnel packages, 14 of those 24 packages, so over half of them were from the jumbo personnel package, and we're just going to see how successful things were. So looking at our big packages, right? 11 personnel, they were successful 10 out of those 24 plays. They were successful 6 out of the 14 run plays, so 43%. And out of the passing plays, they were only successful 4 folks out of those 10 passing plays, so at 40%, right? So a total of 42%. Now, the most successful formation when it comes to running and passing the ball for this game was 12 personnel package, where there's just straight up 12 with having Gunnar Helm and JT Sanders at tight end, or the jumbo 12 with having Sanders and Andre Carrick as a tight end. But out of the 12 personnel package, as a totality, including the jumbo package, 24 plays, 16 successful plays, folks. 12 out of the 17 run plays were successful, so 71% successful run play rate. And out of the passing plays, they had 7 out of 12 personnel, and they were 4 out of 7 successful, folks. 57% successful player for the passing game. So a total SPR rate, 67% for the totality of the 12 personnel package. Now, folks, go to the jumbo package with JT Sanders, Andre Carrick, and a combination of either Rojo or Bijan Robinson at tailback. And they were successful 6 out of the 10 times that they ran the ball, so 60% SP run rate. And they were successful from the passing side of the house 2 out of the 4, so a 50% rate. So a total out of the jumbo package, 57% successful play rate. One package that I thought was very intriguing was I like the 21 personnel package. So out of the 21 personnel package, 8 plays, we were successful 50% of the time, but 3 out of those 6 run plays we were successful at. So we've been pretty good throughout the entirety of the season, 2 out of 21 personnel, and I get into that in a minute. But if you go look at Iowa State ran the majority of their plays, folks, out of 11 personnel, 32 total plays. They're only successful 11 plays, folks, out of those. So a successful play rate, 34% for the totality. The passing plays, let's see, they were successful 49% when it comes to passing the ball, but they were successful only 19% of the time, folks, when they ran the ball. I think their most successful was 20, but it wasn't like a lot of plays that came out of there. They actually ran the ball the most out of 11 personnel and 12 personnel. And yeah, they ran it 19 times. They were only successful 4 times out of those 19 plays. So yeah, Iowa State, the running game was stopped. Our defense did a great thing against their actual running game there, and you got to commend our guys for doing their thing. Now, folks, if you go take a look at, I want to take a look at, let's see, let's take a look at the finals. All right, so for the season, for the 2022 season, where's Texas been the most successful at? So far, folks, we've run, no kidding, 163 plays in 11 personnel, 163 in 12 personnel, and we have been the most successful as a whole, and 11 and 12 personnel, 50% total as a whole, right? But out of 23 personnel, folks, so 2 running backs, 3 tight ends. Well, no, let's go 30. This is like the Wildcat and also some of the jumbo packages when it comes to having Bijan, and maybe sometimes they put in Byron Murphy and Coburn as your fullbacks. They only ran those a total of 7 plays. They've been successful 6 out of those 7 times. But I made a joke with Steven and a bunch of other guys, 40 Acres Landlord, about the jumbo package. We didn't do too well like in one game. And so I was like, get rid of it. But nah, stats say don't get rid of it. 73 total plays so far this year. They've been successful 38% of the time at a clip of 52%. It is by far, I think, their most, successful package with 70 plays or more. So with at least 10 plays each game so far. Out of the running game, they've been successful 50% of the time, but out of the passing game, they are tied for first with 70 or more plays at 57% successful play rate. And that is because they're able to have the extra offensive lineman, Carrot, come in, and he's basically blocking, so he's basically blocking as a extra offensive line, keeping the pressure off Quinn or Hudson Card, who played this season. Now, from the defensive side of the ball, our defense has only been allowing a successful play rate in the run game, 32%, which is great. And in the passing game, 42%. So, hey, our defense is doing their thing. Got to love what they're doing, folks. All right, so let's take a look at the NinosCorner site, and let's go through some of the players and just see exactly what some of our guys are doing here. So, folks, if we go take a look at the NinosCorner sports.com website, we're going to take a look and see exactly what our guys are doing and how successful these guys are from the running back side of the house. First off, let's start quarterbacks. All right, so Quinn Ewers, folks, if we go take a look at this game. So Quinn, for Iowa State, 17 out of 25 for the attempts, folks. I got 172 yards. His yards per completion, it's the lowest he's had so far this year at 10.12 yards per completion. But I think a lot of them, I'm telling you, folks, that drop pass by Casey Kane was going to blow that number out of the water. You're probably looking at something to 130 something yards on 18 completions, and you're looking at Quinn having a hell of a basically stat line. So his yards per attempt, again, were the lowest for the season, but he had 3 touchdowns. So his touchdowns per completion were the second highest here for the season at 18%. He had no interceptions this game, which is great. And he had 4 explosive plays, folks. So even though Quinn didn't have the game that he would have liked to have, this is the second most explosive passing plays, meaning passes that were 20 yards or more, that he's had over the entire season. The previous game against Oklahoma, he had the most, 5 explosive plays right here, for the entirety of the game. Against Iowa State, he had 4 explosive plays, folks. So a rate of 23.5% explosive play per completion. So, folks, that's almost 1 out of every 4 completions was a pass that was 20 yards or more. Gotta love it. When it comes to these successful pass plays, he had 13 successful pass plays, third best for the season. But the second largest clip Well, actually, it's the third largest clip. So the first clip was against ULM, 93.75, successful play per completion. The second, well, the second game was his highest one at 100% against Alabama. He was cooking in that first quarter, folks. He had 9 successful passes out of 9 completions. All of them were successful in nature, but 76.47 for this game. So it's actually the third highest, second lowest for his season. But yeah, Quinn is having a hell of a season. We're going to see exactly what he does against Iowa State. Well, I'm sorry, against Oklahoma State here for the next game. But for the season, folks, we're looking at Quinn, and folks, these are rough metrics. Around 812 yards, starting 4 games so far this year. 12.89 yards per completion, 9 touchdowns, 2 picks, folks. He's having a hell of a season. 14 explosive plays in the passing game. So a clip of 22.2. So that's almost 1 out of every 4 completions, folks, for the season is an explosive play of 20 yards or more. And 53 successful passing plays per completions, guys. It's 84%. Every almost, think about this, folks. 84% of his completions are successful, meaning that they are plays that are going in positive direction to get a first down. It's not just plays that are going positive. There's a certain percentage. So on first down, I need at least half the yardage to get a first down. On second down, I need at least 70% of the yardage to get a first down. And on third down, I need 100% of the yardage. Or in fourth down, I need all the yardage too as well. So he's meeting those metrics 84% of the time. So, folks, you got to love it. And he's almost at 57% SP rate per attempt, not per completion, per attempt, which is really good as well. So that's Quinn. That's exactly the game that he had here. Let's go to the running back side of the house. Let's focus on our 2 studs here. Let's start with Roschon today. Roschon, you guys know he's my guy. I met his brother here against OU. Really, really good dude, man. Really good dude. We've been talking back and forth too on Twitter, but he's a member of 587 Fraternity Incorporated, Blue Phi. Shout out to his brother, Mandorian. So, but yeah, Roschon against Iowa State, folks. NCN rushing number 64.12. Roschon's been balling out this year, folks. He's been balling. 64.12. NCAA average, folks, is 45 points. So, take a look at that. The passing game, minus 3.59. I think he had a negative, play when it came to passing. But we got Roschon here to rush the ball. He's a dog. 11 carries, 71 yards. Again, 6.45 yards to carry. So 6.5 yards to carry, folks. 5 first downs on those 11 attempts. So nearly every other play that he runs the ball is a first down. 1 explosive play rushing, so almost 10% there. And 7 successful plays out of those 11 rushing attempts. 64% successful play per attempt, right? Which is great. And he had that 1 catch, and I have it. No, I'm sorry. He had 1 target, no catches. So that's why it's number dip. But it's fine. We don't have Roschon here to catch the ball. He's really good at it. Roschon is a hell of a pass protector and a hell of a downhill runner, and he's going to be a really good pro here next year when he goes to the league. Next guy that I want to talk about is Bijan Mustardson. Bijan Robinson, man. Look, folks, you got to love Bijan, best running back in the country. Against Iowa State, NCN number was 50.06. Average score, like I said, folks, was 45 points here for NCAA. But in the passing game, he was really good as well. 68 points for NCN receiving. So Bijan had 28 attempts, folks, for 135 yards. We rode Bijan hard this game. 28 rushing attempts, the most that he's had all season. He had 4 catches. So Bijan had 32 touches this game. He only averaged a little less than 5 yards per attempt, but we needed every yard. Rode him hard, and we understand we had to feed him to to basically win this game. He had 7 first downs out of those 28 attempts. So 25% first down per attempt rate. You want that number to be around 33%. But look, we got him where we got him. It was what it was. Bijan had a good game. It's a game that he needed to have, and we needed to grind this game out. Bijan also only had 1 explosive play. That's something that I think we got to see a little bit more out of Bijan. Is just seeing some explosive plays out of him a little bit more, especially those top tier running backs. But look, it's hard to complain about. I mean, that's the only nitpick you have of Bijan is, can he, break more runs of 15 yards? But if Bijan's giving me a steady 5, 6, 7 yards a clip, I'm fine with it. Run the clock. Successful plays, folks, 15 successful plays out of those 28 rushing attempts. So 54% SP rate per attempt. No fumbles this game. 4 targets, 4 receptions for 100% catch percentage, 36 yards, folks. And 3 first downs in those 4 attempts. And how many yards a yak did he have? Oh, he had 1 explosive play when it comes to receiving the ball. So, so 20 yards or more. And 3 successful plays when it comes to catching the ball, and yards to the yak, 17 yards to the yak. So when you take a look at that, folks, 17 out of his, how many yards to say? 36. Almost half his yards came out the yards after contact. So we all understand Bijan's that guy, folks. We love Bijan. He is that dude. Next guy on the list that we're going to talk about, let's talk about our wide receivers. And let's look at the wide receivers. Well, first, how about tight ends? Tight ends didn't really do too much this game. The guy that we're going to focus on here is going to be Sanders. JT Sanders didn't have the best game. 5 targets, 3 receptions, 37 yards, 16.11 NCN number, and it's so low this game because he had a drop. It was a pass that went straight to him, and he dropped the ball there in the flats. And had an opportunity to get a couple yards during their play, but he had a clear drop, and that's why the number is so low. I think minus that drop, I think that brings it up to, I think, low 40s or so. But he had just a pretty average game from the receiving side of the house. But if you go take a look, folks, on the first downs, out of those 3 catches, folks, 2 of them were first downs, which is great. Caught the ball very well, especially on the sideline this game. First downs, there we go. We were talking about that. No touchdowns this game. No explosive plays this game either. But all 3 of his catches were successful plays. We did have that 1 drop, and that's what got his number down to 16.1. No other tight ends had really any stats this game, so I won't focus on the tight ends too much. Let's go to the wide receivers, and we're going to talk about Jordan Whittington, Xavier Worthy, and we'll talk about Casey Kane. Okay, so let's talk about Jordan Whittington first. Jordan Whittington against Iowa State, folks, 133.67, outstanding game. 2 targets, 2 receptions, 27 yards, 13.5 yards per catch. Both catches were for first downs. He had a touchdown this game, his first touchdown of the season as well. 100% first down per reception, a TD. So, look, half his catches were for touchdowns, even though a small sample size. And the other catch that wasn't a touchdown wasn't an explosive play. So it's a play of 20 yards or more. And both catches were successful plays, no drops, and 24 yards to yak. Man, Jordan Whittington's having a great game. Man, I just absolutely love Jordan Whittington and what he does for his team. I'm so happy that he's healthy. He's healthy. And for the season, folks, 67.22 NCM receiving, metric. He's having a great season, folks. I expect him to probably have around 700 yards by the end of the season. And it's going to be great just to see what he's doing. I love what Jordan's doing. Next guy on the list, folks, is Xavier Worthy. Xavier Worthy. Take a look at X-Man. This game, 65.79. We're starting to see X kind of hit his stride now. He did it against West Virginia. He started to get it against Texas Tech. West Virginia, he opened it up. Oklahoma opened it up. And then against Iowa State, opened it up again. 10 targets, 8 receptions, 72 yards. Not the biggest yards per reception, only 9 yards per reception. However, 5 of those 8 receptions were for first downs. 2 touchdowns, folks. Awesome. Hey, if you're not catching long balls, you're catching touchdowns. 2 explosive plays outside of those 2 touchdowns. 5 out of those 8 catches were successful plays. No drops, and he only had 11 yards to yak. So, folks, that tells you that X-Man was getting balls that were right there. I mean, they were like perfect catches right there on the sideline or touchdowns, and that's what you want, folks. X-Man had a hell of a game. He had a hell of a game. So can't knock X-Man. The guy that I'm going to talk about next is going to be Casey Kane. Not the best game for Casey Kane. Had a drop. No receptions, I think, this game. So 3 targets, no receptions. He has a minus 38.13 for this game because he had that drop. But Casey Kane, look, we understand Casey Kane is going to have better days here in the future. I'm a fan of Casey Kane. Look, he's a good player. Big body receiver. Sometimes you have good games. Sometimes you have off games. This is an off game for Casey Kane. But guess what? It's a teaching moment for him and the team because we won. We won the game. It's better to have teaching moments after a win. But folks, That's the metrics. That's the NCN numbers. That is just the stats for the entire game. Glad you guys rocked out with me here for this this post game recap. I'm going to end this podcast like I end all my podcasts. Look, do you folks? Don't be afraid to feel like grow your environment. Understand your brilliance. And on that point, Ninos corner them out. Hook them all day long. Horns always up. And beat Oklahoma State and Stillwater this weekend.